riding a bullet train without paying, breaking into an active construction site, begging locals for money, stealing food from a Kyoto hotel, or breaking into a truck. What do you want to do when you come to Japan? There seems to be a worrying trend now where foreign influencers are treating Japan like it's a cross between Disneyland and The Purge, a theme park where rules don't matter and you can pretty much get away with anything. In a world where all that matters now is click-through rates on YouTube videos or audience retention on a kick stream, desperate creators are going to desperate lengths to get the attention they sorely crave. And unfortunately, it seems what better place to exploit people's kind-hearted nature and goodwill for content than here in Japan. Nuisance foreign influencers have been in the public news quite a bit in Japan over the last few months. And with the release of a video just yesterday by YouTuber Phidias getting thrown off a Shinkansen for not paying, amongst other things, the topic looks set to make a very unwelcome comeback this week. So in this video, we'll take a look at who these dickheads are and what's been going on, as well as exploring how this has been playing out in Japan amongst both the public and the Japanese government, because it certainly hasn't gone unnoticed. And look, this isn't just a foreigner YouTube problem. Japan has its own fair share of domestic nuisance YouTubers, and it's taken some pretty bizarre measures to counter them as well, as we'll see. But both as a foreigner living in Japan and as a YouTuber, naturally, I feel like this is something I need to talk about. Do I want to talk about it? No, I don't. As you know, I like talking about happy things. In fact, to produce this video, I had to completely scrap the fun pre-planned content that I had in store. But my policy on YouTubers and streamers doing shitty things has always been to ignore them, for fear of bringing them any more attention or notoriety. And I only do so today because in the case of the first bellend that we'll talk about, Johnny Somali, a kick streamer, he's already reached a high level of notoriety after his recent arrest. And his story is important as it gives context to why people are so fed up that this has happened again. And by talking about the second person, who is a YouTuber, hopefully YouTube will take more aggressive action against creators that make shitty content like this. Also, if you're having a good day where you've got some sort of faith in humanity, you might want to stop watching right now, as I've discovered learning about these fucking idiots really doesn't do you any favours. Back in September, kick streamer Johnny Somali was arrested after repeatedly causing mayhem around the country. Whether it was standing on a train with a loudspeaker harassing train passengers,
What is this, bro?
wandering onto a construction site and being thrown off by mortified workers, or of course breaking into a truck for lunch. For 6 months, frustratingly, he pretty much got away with it all. Had Johnny Somali been in the UK, he would have discovered the definition of human punch bag very fucking fast. But unfortunately in Japan, people go about their lives keen to avoid conflict or disputes, especially given how rare it all is. And when people see outlandish, disrespectful behaviour, they're far less likely to confront it than they would in North America or Europe. And with the authorities seemingly inactive or oblivious to this toxic behaviour for the longest time, it got to the point where vigilante stream snipers were actively seeking him out, leading him to get knocked out by a foreign tourist in what might be his second greatest stream. And during this time I purposely avoided the topic because I just didn't want to bring attention to someone like this, you know. There's no such thing, they say, as bad publicity. Fortunately, turns out there is. Eventually, Japanese media caught on to Johnny Somali, and in what was undeniably his greatest stream. He captured his own demise in real time as the police arrested him and tossed him into a cell where he's been for almost 2 months now. If formally charged with trespassing, he could spend up to 3 years in jail, but that's pretty unlikely, and we can only hope he does get to stream his inevitable deportation sometime in the near future. But the damage had already been done, with one of Japan's most powerful politicians speaking out publicly about nuisance streamers, casting a bit of a shadow over regular streamers and YouTubers operating in Japan. And that takes us to now. This week in the relay race of dickhead influencers in Japan, the baton of twattery went from Johnny Somali to Cypriot YouTuber Phidias when he released a video called I Travelled Across Japan for Free. A more accurate title would have been I Travelled Across Japan Without Fucking Paying, as Phidias rode across the country on a Shinkansen without buying a ticket and then camping out in a public toilet while battling an unamused train conductor who later threw him off the train, as well as harassing locals for money along the way to pay for his bus fare. Although clearly it wasn't enough because he didn't pay the bus fare, and so the bus company took him to the police station to charge him. And if that wasn't enough, as an extra bonus, he also walked into a Kyoto hotel pretended he was staying to the staff, and stole food from the breakfast buffet. What a man of class. A waste of time for everyone involved, all in the name of the world's shittest YouTube video. I don't know about you, but I don't actually want Phineas to get arrested for this. I want him to be free so he can get to work on his sequel as soon as possible. I travelled Pyongyang for free. Boy, would I pay good money to see that in action. Now, right off the bat, Phineas doesn't have the best reputation. In fact, if desperation had a physical manifestation, it would be him. After all, the guy once camped outside of Twitter's headquarters for 60 days just to get a hug with Elon Musk himself. In a scene so hideously awkward, you'll want to go back in time and kill the internet from ever happening. Perhaps this shouldn't be a complete surprise, given this is the same guy who faced a backlash last year for his questionable thumbnail choices. But in a matter of hours, the video had been picked up by netizens online and shared across Japan. In response to the outrage, Phineas did what any good YouTuber would do. He wrote a shit apology. Hello, beautiful people. I apologise to the Japanese people if we made them feel bad. That was not our goal. From now on, I am going to make more research to the cultures we go to and try to prevent this from happening again. I love you all. 5 likes from 5 fucking idiots. I'm gonna make more research to the cultures. You know what? Maybe I'll swing by Malaysia. Maybe I'll steal a truck because maybe that's okay there. Maybe theft is okay. I don't know. I haven't researched the culture. Or maybe I'll swing by Vietnam and hijack a bus. I don't know. I haven't researched the culture. Maybe the concept of crime is absent in Asian countries. But clearly Phineas didn't research the culture of India because he did the exact same fucking thing there, riding a train without paying. But what lies in store for Phineas? Well, if history tells us anything, it's that he should soon begin his narrative arc to becoming an amateur boxer. And who knows what kind of exciting content that we can expect next. Perhaps I piggybacked across Japan on 100 unwilling strangers. Or perhaps I tried robbing a Japanese 7-Eleven in a day. But there's a tipping point in Japan when something is featured on TV. That's when the outrage is sort of crystallised. And it's impressive how well everyone's forgotten Logan Paul's saga when he came to Japan for the ultimate dickhead speedrun, causing chaos on the streets, smashing Game Boys and mocking the dead, with the whole episode making national news in Japan. To the point that I ended up on Japan's biggest morning news show in the bizarre position of having to defend all foreign YouTubers ever in the world, which was basically me just sitting on a chair, looking bewildered, going, I'm very angry indeed. It's a good thing I didn't say, but don't worry, it won't happen again. Especially with a clip of even more streamers in Japan doing the rounds dressed as Mario, harassing women in the street.
What the fuck, Mario?
Now there is some good news. Just as I was finishing up this video, I did see that the offending video had disappeared, meaning either YouTube took action or he took it down himself. But the damage has already been done. It's already been shared across social media in Japan. People are already kind of pissed off. Japanese rail companies are investigating what happened. And just today, a friend shared with me a photo of his local bar that's just put up a sign banning people from filming, streaming, doing anything inside there. And who can really blame them? Probably a look of things to come. You know, looking at the bigger picture, it's unfortunate. In 10 years living here, 300 videos on the road, I've very rarely faced any difficulties filming in public. The key is to be respectful, don't be noisy, be mindful of the people around you. And much of my success is down to the fact Japan is so tolerant and so generous when it comes to people filming out and about in public. There's nowhere better to do it. And I worry if this keeps happening, then the day will arrive where every time I pull out a camera to film, or a foreign tourist is filming something, just making a video, you know, folks will rush over to sort of say, oh, stop filming, don't film here, please, damn it, don't film, because they're so concerned that something bad is going to happen. And it's a sad turn of events to be confronting, especially as it's the 1-year anniversary of Japan reopening. You know, tourist numbers are almost back to where they were since 2019. It'd be a terrible shame if that is overshadowed by foreign influencers running amok, being disrespectful, and taking advantage of Japan and its people. And I think the only flip side I can find is by raising awareness of that. I kind of want to encourage you guys, if you're ever out there watching something on YouTube or Twitch or Kick, where douchebag influencers are traveling around Japan doing these sort of things, hold them to account, report them, do what you can. That's the only way they can be stopped when they're deprived of the platforms that they use to output the shitty, awful content. Now, as I said, Japan isn't without its own domestic YouTuber problems. In fact, the country has a word for nuisance YouTubers,迷惑系. During the pandemic, a YouTuber called Hezumaru was detained for 2 days after a string of questionable activities, including stealing sashimi from a supermarket and laying down a mattress in the middle of Shibuya Crossing. That was never going to end well, let's face it. Then this year, somewhat bizarrely, in the run-up to hosting the G7 summit, the Japan Self-Defense Force ran a series of exercises in anticipation of an attack. In this case, in the event that a YouTuber should try to break into a base belonging to the Japan Self-Defense Force, which they reacted to by swarming the individual and searching their car. And let's face it, it's the one Logan Paul video that we all want to see. That would be one hell of an episode. As for Phidias, let's hope his next video is out soon. Staying in Japan for free, with free meals. Fingers fucking crossed.